Split Tube Media and the Cinesthesia podcast present a special daily October podcast. Hell to the king.
Jason, have you read Stephen King's books? Have you read Stephen King's books?
King movie, a Stephen King movie. King movie, a Stephen King movie. King movie, a Stephen King movie.
I have done my best to scare the shit out of you guys.
Even just start talking about it. I could just, for most of these, I don't even care if we have an intro recorded as part of the show, because I can just make an all-purpose intro and then we can just fade in mid-conversation.
I suppose that's true.
Because who cares?
Because who cares?
And also, I kind of find that charming.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, the conversation's been going on. It's been going on forever. You're just joining us for a moment. Come in, sit by the fire. You look cold. It's been raining outside. Come here, let us cover you in a blanket and tell you a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, hell to the king. Here we are, another day, another dollar.
Are you getting paid, Jason?
Fuck. I don't know.
I'm not getting paid for this.
Welcome back to Hell to the King. Today, we're talking about Cujo.
Cujo.
Jim,
Hi.
what do you have to tell me about Cujo?
Who greenlit this? Oh, also...
We're off in the wilderness now.
It's true.
We're gone.
3 days ago, I was coming from the every one of these movies is genius camp. And we're 4 movies in, and I'm obviously wrong.
So, Cujo, for anybody... But, okay, so here's actually the thing that I like about Cujo. I was about to say for anybody who doesn't know, there's nobody who doesn't know.
Everybody knows.
Everybody
we all
knows
know Cujo.
What a Cujo is.
Yeah. Not only that, if you know what a Cujo is, you already have the whole movie done.
Yeah. Well, no, but I admire, before we go, into where we're going, I just want to give King props.
Yes.
Not necessarily the movie. I don't know if the movie had as much to do with this as the book. Although I guess probably more people still saw the movie than read the book, even though the book was a huge bestseller. But it's not very often that you get to create a horror icon.
That's true.
Bram Stoker created Dracula, and now there's all these Draculas. It's a Dracula.
Yes.
And those having those names where you can just say it, because all Cujo is a dog. Yeah. It's just a dog. It's a dog with rabies.
With literal rabies.
Some crazy supernatural thing. But if you say Cujo, everybody knows what you mean.
Yeah.
It's become
you could be
a monster.
Oh, there's a movie coming out. It's about a Cujo rabbit. People would be like, oh.
Yeah. So I admire...
It's a mountain lion Cujo.
I have to give it a nod towards the impact it's at least had on our collective psyche.
This movie's coming out. It's a bunch of Cujo snails. It's just a whole flock of Cujo snails. Oh, I know what that movie is.
Yeah. So just getting that out of the way. Now also, we go back to...
I'm curious if was Cujo a name before he used it? Was it...
I have no idea, but even
part
if
of the
it was,
brilliance of Kodak is that they just made up a word, right? And now that's what that word means.
Sure. Yeah.
But, Freddy Krueger, that's just a guy's name. There were probably dudes named that before. But now it's kind of... now we all know.
I grew up in elementary school having to deal with the fact that Jason was the name of the Friday the 13th killer.
Yeah.
But but they did that. Like, that's Jason. But it didn't last as long.
No, because there's a lot of Jasons.
First things people think about. But
Yeah,
there's not a lot of Cujos. And Cujo is still Cujo. And Cujo's going to be Cujo forever.
Forever. There's only one Cujo.
Yeah.
Good for them.
That said, we are a few King movies in.
Yeah.
Like we've had chronologically. Yesterday we talked about the whole Creepshow saga, but only one of those had actually come out by now.
Okay. Just the first one.
There's Carrie. There's Salem's Lot. There's The Shining. There's Creepshow, which is like the little thing he did with Romero. And so this is, I feel like, the beginning of what you think of as the Stephen King Hollywood melting pot, the filmography. This is kicking it off.
Do you think that you think of it as the beginning because all the previous ones are good, and you think that Hollywood Stephen King is bad, so you think of the first real big miss as the beginning of it?
Part of it, but I'll include things that I like in it, like The Dead Zone and Christine.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Which are coming up on later episodes. And those are movies, I haven't rewatched them yet, but I have very fond memories of them.
Sure,
I think they're good. And, yes, those are movies by legit dudes, Cronenberg and Carpenter, respectively. But this is the beginning of, it feels like to me, of Hollywood just
piling on.
Starting to make King movies. And whoever's around gets to make a King movie.
Yeah.
Because we need to make these King movies. So,
sure.
The first one you have, you have De Palma, you have this book, it's a bestseller, but nobody really knows how it's going to do or what a Stephen King movie is. Then you have Salem's Lot, it's a TV movie, it's kind of a different animal. The Shining's Kubrick, and we've said Kubrick's just on this alien planet, it's doing his own thing. And then Creepshow is, King and Romero doing their own low budget, interesting thing. So there's this, not just that the things are good, but there's this element of individuality to them, or they're scrappy in some way, they're coming up or they're coming out of different people's interests or passions or something like that. And this is the first one where it feels like this is a product.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
We're going to get somebody to make this product.
Right. They're like, we have this in waiting. Let's grab Lewis Teague, a man who came up through Corman and then went on to direct exclusively forgettable movies. Let's get him to do it.
As evidenced by, I don't even know what else he's directed.
I looked them up the other day and I can't remember any of them because they're all forgettable movies.
I think we're returning to him at some point in this.
That seems correct.
Another
great. We can talk about him again when that happens, but we'll and we'll be like, didn't he direct something else? It was what?
I think Cujo was a success. I'll have to look it up, but I think that it did well enough that...
I heard about it I guess not when it came out because I was a baby, but it's a film I was aware of growing up.
Oh, sure. But I think it also was... I don't think it was a runaway smash, but I think it was enough of a success to be one of those movies that then when we were kids played on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And so it was back when TV needed content. There wasn't 5 million reality shows on. They would just put movies on over and over and over. I feel like Cujo was always somewhere lurking.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I'm going to put scary in quotes, but never too gnarly for TV. So that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a couple of shots you might need to trim.
Sure.
I will say, let's maybe first start. I'm not sure where to start. Here's the thing. There are actually things about this movie I kind of like.
Like trying to guess when the dog is a dog and when it's a man in a suit and when it's mechanical.
Yes, that is one of the things I like. When it's one dog and when it's another dog, because I think there's a few different kinds of dogs. When
it's a not Saint Bernard wearing a Saint Bernard costume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here's Wikipedia. Cujo was played by 4 Saint Bernards, several mechanical dogs, and a black Labrador Great Dane in a Saint Bernard costume.
There you go.
In some shots, stuntman Gary Morgan played Cujo whilst wearing a large dog costume.
I was going to say, it was definitely a dude. Well, somebody's fancy. You should see who edited that and call them out. Can you just look at that on Wikipedia?
I have no idea. I don't know how to do that.
Hey Tumblr fan 769, calm down with the whilsts.
That's interesting. The director and DP
Jan de Bont?
Well, no, the original director and original DP were both replaced 2 days into filming.
Because they lacked vision?
Why? I don't know.
That's
I did think when the movie started, I did have a moment where I was like, oh, this looks a lot prettier than I expected this movie to.
It is pretty well shot.
The shots in the field of Cujo running around, it just kind of perked up. And it's like, nice. It's nothing that interesting, but it's like, oh, wow, that really kind of looks pretty. And then Jan de Bont's name came up as the DP. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's, notable. I mean, when I think of him, I think of Twister primarily, but as a DP, his work is, good.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, so I enjoyed some of the things, like that with the multiple dogs. I actually think, okay, I'll just put out my thesis on this movie. I actually think that if somebody had shot this script with better actors and a better director of actors,
sure,
this would have been a really good movie. I actually think the script is totally solid.
I have disagreements with you.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine, Jason, have you seen the Hitchcock film The Birds?
I have.
Yeah, it's a movie about some people, and there's birds, just giant swarms of birds, right? Huge, giant flocks of birds, and what's scary is that there's thousands and thousands of them just coming at them. Now, one bird not frightening at all, but there's thousands and thousands slamming into the windows and coming for them, and they don't know why. And how can they deal with this whole cloud of birds? Now, imagine that movie, Jason, but with one bird. One kind of big bird. That's what this movie is. Who cares?
Wait, are you asking me to imagine a movie in which Big Bird from Sesame Street tries to kill Tippi Hedren? Because that sounds great.
Yeah, sure. But you're imagining a bird with agency, Jason. You're imagining specifically an imaginative giant child bird.
No, I kind of like how small the horror is. Like, I was talking about this a couple days ago, where it gets a little bit of that Stephen King thing, and I agree it's not well done. Like, I think the execution is not there.
Yeah.
But it's set up to do that Stephen King thing that I like, which is basically you're watching a domestic drama. You're watching this movie about these people, and if the filmmakers were doing their jobs, you would really care about these people, or you would be interested in them. They would affect you in some way, and then they end up trapped in this small situation, but it's the people that you care about, and they're trapped there.
I could see. Okay. All right.
So that's sort of what I mean in terms of, and yeah, I'm sure there's things about the script that would need to be changed too, but just the general structure of it, and which comes from the novel, and some of the choices they made in how to adapt it writing-wise, I feel like could have worked. But oh my god, there's no energy or chemistry or anything coming from even Dee Wallace, who I like. There's just. And that's why I say I'm sure part of this has to be the director, because Dee Wallace can be really good.
Of course,
but
she gets kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, she has some scenes where she kind of pulls something off, but
it's clearly isn't fighting the movie. Yeah. None of that is from the director.
Yeah, it's just like everybody's like acting through plastic.
I will say that part of my issue with it was why were any of those dudes there? The thing with her husband, I didn't care about. He's not a character. The thing with her cheating with another guy, I didn't care about. That guy's not a character. I felt like it could have started with a woman and a child getting trapped in a car by a dog and ended with them not being trapped in a car by a dog anymore. I felt like there was these bookends that felt completely unnecessary to me. And maybe you're right that if they were done better, they would have felt poignant in any way at all and felt justified. But for me, I was like, this movie could be way tighter. It could start with people getting trapped in a car by a dog.
Oh, totally. And I think that would probably be the more, for want of a better term, like cinematic approach to it, or at least it would be the approach more in tune with, I don't know, like contemporary taste and aesthetics of like, I feel like that would be something that film nerds right now would get really excited about. It's like, oh, have you seen this movie? It starts with them pulling up to this farm, and then it's 80 minutes of this dog, and it's a fight, and then it's over.
Right.
And like that would be really intense.
The idea that there were two humans in a car feels like enough stakes without me having to know some like weird muddled facts about her marriage. You know?
Yeah.
That doesn't make her more human to me. That doesn't make it more poignant that she's stuck. You know, it's like, it's about this woman and her kid who's slowly becoming dehydrated. And that, for me, I think could be a strong movie. And I think for me, the big issue within that movie also, this didn't work on any level for me, Jason. Within that very movie, they pull up. It's a woman and a child, and they're stuck in a car because there's a literally rabid dog. It's not even any kind of like weird hyper real rabies. It's just normal rabies. According to people in the movie. So it's a rabid dog.
I would say not according to the way the film is shot.
No, it seems like weird extra rabies.
Yeah.
But a dude definitely tells you that it's rabies.
Yeah.
So they roll into this driveway, and they get trapped by a dog, and day one, she looks out on the ground and sees a baseball bat, and she's like, that's my escape. And then she waits 2 more days to make her escape, and her escape is just to get out and run to that baseball bat and hit the dog with it. And she should have done that at least a day before. Like, it takes her a day to get the courage up, but why does she have to wait until her child is literally half dead, or maybe wait an hour and a half? And within that time, Jason, presumably that dog goes to sleep at some point or finds food at some point, and explicitly it murders a dude in a barn. It leaves to murder a man in a barn, and she just sits in her car and waits for it to come back.
Well, I would argue, on one hand, the film posits the dog is this sort of omnipresent force once you're on that farm. Like, anytime she even thinks about getting out, the dog's there. The dog's looking. And I do think there's something stupidly charming about, not necessarily the film. The film, I think, doesn't do this very well at all. Or they do it in this kind of... They do it... The one time they do it a little bit well is when the boy is looking for Cujo in the woods. They light it like a haunted house woods type thing. Yes. And it's like, you know, I appreciated that. I feel like I remember, this is one of the Kings I've actually read.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like I remember that sort of sensation being in the book, and maybe it was just because, you know, you're reading a Stephen King book, so you're thinking supernatural, you're thinking horror, but I don't know, it was another, there's a lot of things like from the dog's point of view in the book.
Oh, interesting.
Of like the dog thinking and feeling and like trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
But also just the fact, like, I just think it's also charming the fact that it's in a little bat cave thing that he gets bit. Like, it's almost like he got bit by this, you know, symbol of horror movies. I don't know. But regardless of all of that, the movie is very bad. And it's really poorly executed throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot of spaces where the movie could be really good, and spaces where I was surprised that it was trying to be good in the way that it was trying to be. I think that's maybe what attracted me, where I was like, oh, I thought they were going to go right into just like, this dog's ripping people's throats out.
Sure.
Instead, they like tried to do the whole family saga and emotional thing. They did it terribly, but they tried, and I appreciated that.
That's very kind of you.
But no, it's anyway, I'm just going to repeat myself at this point.
Yeah. I would say overall it is a boring film.
Yes.
That's my review.
I agree with that. If I had not been doing something else while it was on, I would not have made it through.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to say.
Was it the one truly delightful thing about the film is how slimy the dog gets? I did enjoy that. Every time they cut back to the dog, he's slimier.
I did really like how slimy the dog got. I gotta say, Did not enjoy. I can't watch Children in Peril anymore.
Just as a father, you can't get into that whole aesthetic.
It started pretty early where I just... Oh, it doesn't matter how bad the movie it is. Doesn't matter how minor it is. It just, I'm at that point now where I just can't do it. So I maybe was more affected by this film only because...
Sure, because that kid is there.
And it's like, this is a terrible movie. I don't care about it. I'm doing something else while I'm watching it, but I need to watch this kid get through this. I need and in the book, he doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
And he
just dies from heat?
Yeah. He dies from dehydration. She doesn't get him out in time.
And then what? That's the end of the book?
And then they just, there's an epilogue.
Because then who cares?
It should be also noted, this is one of the books he does not remember writing.
Oh, sure.
It was this, the Tommyknockers, and something else where he was so...
He was in a cocaine fugue state?
Completely, he just does... He's like, I like the good parts of that book. I wish I could remember writing them. I have no memory of it whatsoever.
Wow.
And so it definitely is, I think, the whole book is about a family that's in trouble and the dad is absent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's definitely working through something there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I terrible movie. I'm doing something else, but I have to... I hadn't thought about it before putting the movie on, but then I became terrified during the movie that it's oh no, this kid's gonna die. And I can't. I'm not looking forward to rewatching Pet Sematary. That's what I'm saying. Oh,
I've never seen that one. Is a kid imperiled in that one?
Oh, God. My dad read that book when I was 1 or 2 or a very small child, and he's like, it was the worst possible time to read that book.
Interesting.
Don't do it. No. So there was that of just, I think I was maybe a little bit more affected by the movie because of that. And then in terms of Stephen King ticks and runners, no psychics in this movie.
No.
But
this one felt like not Stephen King.
So
to me.
That's one of the things where even though they kept in all the domestic drama stuff, they cut out the little... Okay, so the kid's obsessed with monsters in his closet. And the dad has these
completely
words
forgot about that
to make the monsters go away.
Right.
That's this plotline thing. And they use it just as he's going to use these words. He holds on to these words as this totem when he's confronted with Cujo.
Yeah.
And that's what it is in the book too.
It doesn't matter.
But in the book, there is legit a monster in his closet.
Oh, see, that would have made this better.
It's a ghost that comes out and makes fun of him and it says nasty things to him because only he can see him.
Wow. Okay.
So in the book, there is a psychic kid who can see a ghost who's a dick to the kid because he can see him.
That's amazing. Why would you take that out of the movie?
It doesn't play into anything else. It's just it's just part of the Stephen King, haunted Maine tapestry.
Yeah,
that he just puts in
this. This goes back to what we were saying
from another book, but I can't remember who it is.
2 days ago or something about Toby Hooper being willing to leave in the sort of weird, because it's part of his aesthetic too, to be the world is bigger than you understand, right? These guys
these
clearly were oh, this is too disjointed. This ghost doesn't save them from the dog, so who cares?
Yeah, but let's have at least
here.
15 to 20 minutes total screen time for the fucking ad campaign.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Toby Hooper and that house, it was all I could do to keep from talking about that bit in the book. Mm-hmm. And then when I watched the movie and it wasn't there, I was like, oh, God damn it. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, that's such a disappointment. If I were making this movie, I would leave that ghost in and cut the dad out and cut out the affair. I don't care about any of that. The dad's whole role in this movie is to be absent. So let's just commit to that, right? Let's just get rid of him.
There were all of these scenes where I was
you a remake, Jason.
Yeah, no, there were just all of these scenes where it's if you had hired a better actor and could get something out of them, like,
Yeah.
this could have been something. But
That also, setting it in a world where there is a ghost who's just kind of a dick, also lets you be in a world where I think, as an audience member, I'm more willing to take the jump to like, oh, this dog is in some kind of surreal ghost space, or like it makes sense that it can be murdering a man in a barn and still threatening. You know what I mean? Like, I think you could then push the dog into a slightly more surreal monster space.
yeah, because I mean that was one of the. It's not a great book. Don't get me wrong, but
that doesn't mean it couldn't be a great movie,
right? One of the interesting things about the book, or one of just the odd things about it, is that it takes this thing that is completely mundane.
Yeah.
Or not, I mean, it's out of the ordinary, but it's completely...
But, like, rabid dogs are normal.
Yeah. Like,
they happen.
It belongs to the physical world.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a thing that is scary, but also you can deal with it.
Yeah.
But it does transform it into this sort of huge malevolence.
Yeah.
That, at least when I read the book, and then, granted I was younger, but it did work. In the movie, it doesn't work because they don't know how to commit to it. Like I said, the closest they get is that like spooky woods with the kid walking out there, and it just doesn't, it doesn't work.
Jason, can I ask you a question as a father? I want you to answer as a father. I'm not asking as a father.
Right.
Yeah. If you were trapped in a car and there was a big angry dog and your child was with you.
This question's already making me want to cry, but continue.
How long do you wait before you wrap your sweater around your forearm so you can put it in the dog's mouth and go get that bat and beat it to death? Because my guess is like 3 hours.
Not 3 days.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But again, a real dog will get tired or go away.
But also, Jason, if you're adapting this into a film, why not make it a film that happens over 3 hours? Why does it have to be 3 days? Like the kid has to pee. The kid's dehydrated. It's super hot outside. There's a bee in the car. There's 1,000 ways. Some of those are from the movie. Some of them are not. But there's a 1,000 ways to ramp up a 3 hour stuck in a car with a small child with a dog outside. It doesn't have to be 3
absolutely
days.
No. If you're just thinking about it as like a cinematic exercise, there's so many different ways you can go about it.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm talking. Like in the book, you kind of buy the 3 days because he's done. Because it's usually he's like done the work internally to all the characters, including the dog, to make this all feel inevitable. Whereas in the movie, it just feels inevitable because that's what's written in the script. Like it just feels, it feels much more contrived.
Yeah.
No, it's a bad movie. It's the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
We have 3+ weeks to go.
It's been so strong until today, Jason. So strong.
Lewis Teague. And all right, this has been Hell to the King, Rabid Dog Edition.
It's too bad it wasn't a rapid dog. Then it could have been a 6-minute movie.
Also, it's really an object lesson in owning shitty cars that need constant repair.
I know, right? Hey, man, I've never been murdered by a dog because of it.
Yet.
Not yet. But as we've learned, I would fight that dog. I also carry a pocket knife.
Pocket knife can't kill no Cujo?
Sure it could. I legitimately, partway through the movie, was like, oh, this is making me think that everyone should have a pistol in their glove compartment. We should all move out to Texas, where I live. And
honestly, if you live in a place that rural, if you may end up, miles from town where animals might be, that's when gun ownership starts to seem more reasonable.
Yeah, you're to keep a gun in that car.
As my playwriting professor used to say, if you live where a bear might come to your door, you should probably own a gun.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that story about Brian Blessed punching a polar bear in the nose?
What? No.
You should look it up because he would obviously tell it better than I would because he sounds like Brian Blessed. But
yeah,
he was on a expedition where there were polar bears poking around where he and some people were. He was with some professional dudes. I don't know, and they were like, oh, if that polar bear comes around here again, we're going to have to shoot it. And so it like, he woke up in the middle of the night and it was poking its nose into their tent or whatever. So he just jumped up and yelled and punched it in the face so that it would leave so they wouldn't shoot it.
That's how you got to handle these Cujos, man.
Yeah. You just scream and punch them in the shade. Also, you have to be 9 feet tall and have a beard that goes down to your belly. That's how you defeat a Cujo, is by being Brian Blessed.
Because we have to make new movie rules, so that we know how to defeat a Dracula, we know how to defeat a werewolf. How do you defeat a Cujo?
It's true, they don't really explore that in the movie.
Yeah.
What are the rules?
You have to have a deputy's pistol, but be pure of heart.
Yeah.
Oh, God, how terribly staged the whole killing the deputy thing was.
Oh, my God. It's so ridiculous.
Oh,
Jason.
no, excuse me, sir, I've dropped my pistolet.
Boop, boop, boops.
It was, yeah. This is what I think of when I think of Stephen King movies.
Well, yeah, see, now I know why you think they're all bad.
This kind of thing. So, but I'm still very excited to do the rest of these.
Yeah, no, me too.
Let's put this dog down.
Hell to the King is a special presentation of the Cinesthesia podcast, produced by Iguanodonald Studios, and distributed by Split Tooth Media. Music by Loyalty Freak. Hell to the King is recorded wherever we damn well please. Stop hassling me, you're not my mother. Well, you're not my real mother.
Specifically, an imaginative giant child bird. Cujo.
She